What's going on, guys? Welcome to Own the Chaos. This is the Midday Market Recap. My name is Brad, and I try to go live every day, talk about what's moving on within the penny stock world, more specifically over-the-counter stocks. It's a crazy and chaotic, mess a lot of times, but what I like to do is control it and own that chaos and help others learn and grow and succeed in this crazy world of the OTC. So welcome, guys. Again, it's the Midday Market Recap. We're going to talk about some of the major movers. One in particular is going to be IGCC. No surprise to probably a lot of you. We talked about it on Friday, talked about it during Stock Watch Sunday, how I thought that it would probably continue. It's making me look really good right now. Had highs of well over $3 today from our low entries into the 90s, and have been riding free shares all the way up to this point. And so one thing that we observed this morning that I really thought was important to note was protecting that initial investment, sticking with your plan, not being too greedy, and really just kind of keeping with that strategy. And so that's what I kind of want to focus on a little bit. It's amazing to watch something like IGCC run and go ballistic, and your eyes get big, greed starts to set in, and then you kind of deviate from that plan. So want to kind of touch on that, how you should plan accordingly, and when something runs as much as something like IGCC has so far. And we'll talk about why it's running and that sort of thing too. But before I do, if you're visiting for the first time, I want to welcome you to my channel. If you're interested in some crazy volatility within the stock market that you could experience potential of 1,000% gains, you're in the right place. And I've actually been doing some research. I'm really the only channel out there that focuses on the OTC specifically. So if you're interested in over-the-counter stocks and the volatility that it brings, well, this is the only place that really does that. So welcome. I certainly hope that I earn your subscription, and I hope that you join our free group. It's over at WeTradeHQ.com. Now, WeTradeHQ.com isn't just focused on penny stocks alone. It's focused on all kinds of trading. So I've actually co-founded WeTradeHQ with my partner Jake. We created it. Our vision was to cater to anybody who is trading anything in the stock market. So if you're trading big board stocks, ETFs, options, forex, even cryptocurrencies, you name it, no matter what you're trading within the market, WeTradeHQ is the place for you. So just welcome a couple folks here as they start to trickle in. Jake, Seth, Amy, what's going on, guys? And so again, IGCC, I'll go ahead and share my screen with you here real quick, and explain to you what the thought process was. So IGCC, if you guys aren't familiar with this platform that I use, it is Equity Feed. I use this as my main scanner. I do use other scanners as well. I'll touch on them in a sec. But this is one of my main scanners that I use. And then we also, obviously, I use WeTradeHQ for a lot of my charting. We have TradingView integrated within our site. You can chat about it as much as you want, and it's all for free. You don't have to pay a dime to use any of our free resources that we provide for you on WeTradeHQ. So obviously, guys, some crazy movement on IGCC on Friday, and it has continued into today. We had entries on this within our morning mentorship at the 90-cent range, and it has now ran at highs of over $3. If you can look here, let's see, the high of the day is at $3.30. I have reason to believe it's probably going to continue up there. It's had a little bit of a pullback here in the 250 range, and it looks like it could be continuing up close to getting over to $3 again. We saw this on Friday where there was like an initial reaction, it gapped up severely and had a little bit of a lull, kind of pull back a little bit, and I can show you on the chart on WeTradeHQ where that actually happened. So if we go back to, let's do the 5-minute chart. I like the 5-minute chart here. So it had a pretty significant gap up on Friday morning, had some, accumulation here. You can see the Bollinger Bands are squeezing in here nicely, and then it pops back up here, does it again, and then kind of ran pretty well into the end of the day on Friday. And then we're starting to see that already. So it gapped up yet again this morning, and it looks like it's in a consolidation kind of phase. Earlier, actually, I would say probably about 20 minutes ago, it started to break back out of that. And I think we're going to go right back into that $3 range. We'll see where this goes. Insane volume, though, guys. Look at this, $31 million in dollar volume, which is pretty unprecedented within the OTC in particular. This is a major mover, and the reason why it's moving, and we can touch on this again in case you didn't make the Stock Watch Sunday, is because of this. So if we go to OTC Markets, which is where I do a lot of my own due diligence, they won a case. Basically, they appealed their delisting, and they won that appeal. And so they will be listed back on the New York Stock Exchange, more specifically on NASDAQ. And then they'll also be going through a ticker symbol change as well. And they will be IGC as of tomorrow. As they said, no later than Tuesday, February 26th. Look like the IGC wasn't reflected today, so we can assume that tomorrow is when we'll see that ticker symbol change, and then it will be officially traded on NASDAQ. Now, how do we play this? And this is the important thing here. So if you're not within my morning mentorship, I go live with a lot of people from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's a half hour before the market opens, half hour after. And when we first saw IGCC, it was almost kind of a no-brainer. You know, when a company wins an appeal from delisting to get relisted back on NASDAQ, that is a major catalyst. And so it was almost a no-brainer. We got right in at the open, bought at the dip again below, the 90 cent range, below $1, and rode that up on Friday. And I sold my initial investment on that. What I mean by that is, so the money that I invested into IGCC, once it started to run, I doubled my money, so I sold half that position, and then the rest of the shares that are in there are basically free. So now I'm playing with house money, and I get to choose when I sell the rest of that money. So when I'm riding on free shares like that, it really kind of like frees you up from pressure. And that's kind of what we were talking about this morning. There's a lot of folks that protected their initial investment within my morning mentorship. They were waiting to see what might happen after this uplisting, because what could happen here is that, what previously IGCC, before they got delisted, they were valued over $10 a share. So not saying that they're going to get to that point. It might not happen, but could it? I think it absolutely could. The possibility is definitely there. I think realistically, we could be looking at a $5 range once it gets uplisted to the NASDAQ. We'll see if that does. There's a lot more money within the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange that could come pouring into this once they realize that, yes, the uplisting has happened. So should be interesting to see how all that plays out. Or it could just remain stagnant. We'll see. It's one of those things, though, I think that it's, I don't know how to explain it. You just have to see how the market reacts. Right now, it's so volatile, it's almost kind of impossible to actually really predict even closely what's going to happen. But it looks like the price action is reacting similarly to what it did on Friday. So we'll see if this actually runs back into the close towards the end of the day. Should be exciting to see what that happens. Like I said, right now I'm riding on those free shares. And if it starts to pull back and doesn't really kind of recover from that pullback, then it might be a decision time for me to sell the rest of my position, just because I want to make sure that I'm locking in the maximum profits that I can without sacrificing too much. So right now, like I said, there's a lot of pressure that got relieved once I was able to protect that initial investment, because now I can use that money to invest elsewhere. And right now I'm just riding those free shares to see how far this thing can actually go. Your risk tolerance changes dramatically when you're basically playing with house money at that point. And so, that is how I'm playing this out. We'll see if it gets back over $3. I may be tempted to sell once it's in the $3 range, or I may, if the momentum's there, I'll probably just hold on to that sucker until, it decides to slow down again. The nice thing is that I got in early enough to where I could really just do whatever I want with it. But the important thing is, and the important thing that was stressing to my mentorship guys, was that, having an exit strategy before you even buy a stock, before you even push the buy button, you need to have an idea of how and where and what you want to sell at. Whether it goes good, whether it goes bad, no matter, you have that plan. And then the thing is to have the discipline to not deviate from that plan as well. So, it's extremely important to have that game plan in place before you even push that buy button. So always make sure that you know exactly what you're going to, how you're going to react before you even consider buying. Tony's asking, does this type of catalyst produce the same explosive reaction often? So First of all, this type of catalyst doesn't come by hardly at all. It is extremely rare that that an over-the-counter stock even uplists, much less they win an appeal from a delisting. And so this is actually a very significant catalyst. We might not see this again for a while. I'm not saying that like this is some unbelievable, unprecedented type of thing, but it's very rare that you see a stock do this. You know, when they win an appeal like that to get uplisted back to NASDAQ. And so do I think that, like I said, is it going to go crazy? Is it going to go nuts? I think it already has gone nuts. I mean, it's gone up over 600% since its closing on Thursday afternoon. And then the announcement of this relisting or uplisting to the NASDAQ. And so since all that happened, it's gone up 600%. So the volatility here is quite extreme. And so for me to say that they all do that, I think that would be too much of a blanket statement to really kind of assume that. But for a catalyst such as this, it's pretty much a no-brainer to just basically hop right in because, you know, it's just that significant of a catalyst that nobody's going to sell that kind of news, realistically speaking. You know, that's probably one of the biggest catalysts within OTC penny stocks next to reverse mergers. You know, we saw that with LCTZ, DEVM, which is what the ticker is now. It's a $500 million company that merged into LCTZ and now changed their ticker symbol and everything. The private company that basically goes public, that's worth a lot of money. That is a major catalyst. This uplisting to NASDAQ, that is another major catalyst. I would say this is probably, you know, the reverse mergers is 1A, and uplisting is probably 1B. So it's a very significant catalyst for IGCC. And, you know, I think that we could see a continuation. It would not surprise me at all if we got over $5. And again, I'm not saying that it will. It just would not surprise me if it did. So one other thing that I want to kind of like talk about real quick is another stock that moved today. Real insane move is FTEG. We've talked about this before. They came out with a 1A form as a public offering of like 15 billion shares. It was insane. They've been diluting this thing, the crap, and it still is a crap stock in my opinion. But there's always magic that happens when a stock stops diluting, and FTEG was diluting. They have had plenty of dilutive market makers on this, on the level 2. No more dilutive market makers right now. Really started moving from the 0003 range this morning. Opened up at 0004 and hasn't really stopped since. It's had highs of 0012, so it's gone up 266% just today alone. This is the magic that happens a lot of times when dilution stops and comes off of a stock. You know, even if this is a huge turd of a stock, right? Anytime dilution comes off, people love to just buy it. You know, that's just the nature of the beast. This is history, you know, repeating itself. Anytime you see dilutive market makers and dilution end on a stock, people buy the heck out of it. Is this a long-term play? Is it something you should hang on to forever? In my honest opinion, no. I don't think you should hang on to this forever. Could you make the play today that says, you know, oh, well, dilution's ended. I think there could be a significant run here? Sure, absolutely. I don't think there's any reason to believe why you wouldn't. You know, especially in a 000 range, you don't have to risk a whole lot of money to make a lot of money. The risk reward here, I think, certainly speaks for itself, especially if you're able to get in at 0004, 0003, and you had the money to risk. So, you know, the fact that it went from 0003 all the way up to 0012, I think, you know, that speaks for itself. And great heck of a run for FTEG. Do I think it will continue into tomorrow and beyond? My personal opinion says no. I don't think it's going to. But, you know, I've been proven wrong before. I'm not going to sit here and bash it. But at the same time, there is that 1A form that is looming in the background with FTEG, something that I'm not all that crazy about. One other thing that I want to chat about too is MRNJ. MRNJ is still experiencing some significant volume. This was another lotto play that we talked about previously. Keeps bouncing around between 0001, 0002. What a lot of people are asking me about, it's like, you know, hey, this level 2 it looks disgusting. There's a lot of 0002 sitting here on the ask price. What do we do with that? Well, guess what, guys? such is life when it comes to something that's being traded at 0.001 cents per share. It's going to be thick for a while. It might work its way through. The thing that I saw with this was, like I said, we talked about this last night. There's a lot going on with this because it's down here at 0.001 cents per share. It's down here for a reason, because it's a bloated, another bloated turd of a stock. And so what I'm seeing here, though, is that unusual volume. It hasn't had volume like this in well over a year. And so that's what intrigues me about this. Again, this is what I would consider a lottery type play. So you treat it as such. Look at this. The 52-week high was at 0.003, and that just happened on Friday. So, the expectation here, is it absolutely high? Hell no. But could you make some pretty nice cash on this if this volume persists? And we'll see, if maybe they come out with other catalysts. Sure, I think that, like I said, the risk reward there kind of speaks for itself. I'm not telling you to dump $10,000 into something like that. But if you have, a few $100s to be able to get a couple million shares here or there, and it's something that you're willing to take a risk on, I'd say, hey, what the heck? If the volume's still there, then that means there's money still coming in, and there's potential for something like that to move. That was just my take on it from last night. Some people, there was a little bit of confusion with that this morning within our Discord group, so I just wanted to kind of clear that up with you folks as well. So that is it for me, guys. Let me answer this last question for Tony. Tony, resistance factors play a role. How far it runs? Yeah, absolutely. The thing is with IGCC, if you're still referring to that, IGCC still ran quite a bit, but we're in unprecedented territory now because the resistance levels in October don't probably mean much. The volatility is so great right now that resistance levels kind of get thrown out the window. When significant catalysts such as this arise, oftentimes technical analysis kind of gets thrown out the window. When some huge news like that takes place, it's really difficult to play a chart and have it be really all that accurate because the volatility is so great and so vast, and the amount of money that's pouring into IGCC right now is so significant that technical analysis kind of, like I said, just gets thrown out the window. So can you use technical analysis here? Absolutely. But is there more factors that you should consider given the significant catalyst? 100%. So take all that in consideration and, make your plays accordingly. So thanks. Great questions. That is it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are joining me for the first time, if you're watching this at a later date, hopefully that you got some value out of this. If you're interested in joining our free trading platform, again, it's WeTrade HQ. We have almost 4,000 members from around the globe. Can't talk today, from around the globe, learning and growing and celebrating each other's success. I highly encourage you to join it. We've been growing like crazy since the first of the year, and it's been awesome to see. So if you want to check that out, and even if you're not interested in penny stocks, there's more there at WeTrade HQ for the type of trader that you are. So that's it for me, guys. As always, I will see you all before the bell. Please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content such as this. And B Smith is out. Have a good one, guys.